Hey guys, so didn't plan to go live today, but saw this story and we are going to look at the new indictment and what's going on with former YSL defense attorney Nicole Fegan. So we're going to do the short recap. We'll go through what we can see from the filings, and just upfront, Tenquarious Mender also has new charges, and Brittany Parks. So let's get into this. What exactly happened today? So it never ends, right? It never ends, this YSL stuff. So from Fox 5 Atlanta, Travis Moore, we have a brief. So appreciate that here. Nicole Fegan, a former defense attorney in the YSL RICO trial, faces additional charges, including providing prohibited items to an inmate, recruiting for a street gang, and criminal solicitation. Fegan, along with Tenquarious Mender and Brittany Parks, is part of a 22-count indictment involving drug trafficking, gang activity, and contraband smuggling linked to the Young Slime Life YSL gang at Fulton County Jail. So, seems like we might be hearing renewed talk, discussion of YSL gang activity at Fulton County Jail happening maybe 2024, but maybe 2025. The indictment accuses Fegan and Parks of supplying Mender with narcotics and contraband, including cash and Apple AirPods, and alleges Fegan attempted to obstruct a separate gang-related homicide investigation. I believe that was part of the original charges last year, which they took forever to bring forward. So Nicole Fegan of Docula, who represented Tenquarious Mender in the YSL RICO trial, was charged with criminal street gang activity and criminal solicitation to commit the offense of tampering with evidence back in October 2024. So on Monday, she's going to have 3 new counts. That's today. More charges. So this is a summary, guys. We're going to look at the indictment. What we know, according to documents filed in Superior Court by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, Fegan now faces additional charges of providing an inmate with prohibited items without authorization, recruiting for a street gang, and criminal solicitation. She was previously charged with unlawful for a person to cause, encourage, solicit, recruit, or coerce another to become a criminal street gang member, trafficking in methamphetamine, possession of a Schedule II controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, 4 counts of obtain, procure, or give inmate prohibited item without authorization, 2 counts of conspiracy to obtain, procure, or give inmate prohibited item without authorization, violation of the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act, and criminal solicitation. Ooh, that was a mouthful. Fulton County Jail smuggling ring allegations. So let's expand beyond Nicole Fegan here. This is the supposed backstory. Fegan and 2 others, Tenquarious Mender, 28, and Nicole is 34. Did they say that? Yeah, okay, they did. An inmate at the Fulton County Jail, and Brittany Parks, 30, face a sprawling 22-count indictment, which was amended on Monday following a grand jury session. The charges so it's all under one case number. The charges allege drug trafficking, gang activity, and contraband smuggling at the Fulton County Jail. Prosecutors say the operation was linked to the criminal street gang Young Slime Life, YSL, and included efforts to supply. So this is pretty repetitive. Let's see. Let's get to something new, and then we'll get over to the indictment. Now, Fegan and Parks are accused of aiding Mender's criminal activity by illegally delivering narcotics and other contraband into the jail. They allege that both women worked together to provide Mender with methamphetamine, oxycodone, and marijuana on April 17th, 2023, right before 420. Oh, no. The indictment also details repeated instances in which they supplied Mender with unauthorized items, including 1,000 in cash and Apple AirPods. On March, I can't wait to see, but I have my theory on why we got this. We'll go through and I'll show you. On March 24th, 2023, Mender allegedly solicited Parks to send $1,000 to Fegan, who then brought the cash to the jail. The next day, Parks allegedly messaged Fegan, quote, Mender said he needs $150 if you can cash app it to me, question mark. Cash app, like the little symbol dollar thing, Fegan law. To which Fegan responded, okay, which I guess means okay, and confirmed the money had been received. Fegan's also accused of attempting to obstruct a second gang-related homicide investigation by soliciting a fugitive gang member, Nathaniel Benford. This is what we heard back in February of last year. Instructing or soliciting a fugitive gang member, Nathaniel Benford, to discard his phone in connection with the prosecution of Quincy Pinckey. So both Fegan and Parks are charged with conspiracy to furnish an inmate with prohibited items. Mender faces 16 counts. So remember, we know he ended up having a plea in the YSL trial. He had another matter in relation to, I think, Goodfellas to resolve. So he wasn't released that day. I think he still has time to serve in relation to that matter, and that's why he's in Fulton County presently. And now he's got these new counts. So that they're tying to YSL gang activity, including drugs, cash, a telecommunications device, and weapons while in custody. So let's see. Let's get over. By the way, the indictment is linked in the description if you want to pull it up and read along, or we'll get it big on the screen when we start going through it. And again, this is all under the same case number as what was initiated last February. We're looking at the information in relation to Nicole Fegan. So some attorney names. You guys know the name Drew Finling. Famous criminal defense attorney. We've got Brandon Bullard and we have Marissa H. Goldberg. This is out of date. I don't know, but that's what we've got currently. But what I thought was interesting was this recent activity. Last I heard last year, Drew Finling was seeking to have some stuff excluded, or that, you can't even consider this because of attorney-client privilege. Well, there was something somewhere. Let's see. Events. Or I'd seen that was not granted. And Nicole filed a motion for reconsideration. So, all right, so seize communications. Court's order. Okay, so on May 13th, 2024, we have a court order with a ruling from the judge finding no attorney-client privilege in recorded phone conversation. We have a motion for reconsideration. I don't see any status update on that, so probably wasn't granted. And then fast forward a year and 2 months later, we now have this new indictment. So going back to, I believe it was Amber. Let's see. I think it was Amber said something to the effect of, this sounds like Viverito. This sounds like Viverito. And, I don't know if Viverito's necessarily the one involved in doing this research, but I would agree that somebody's listening to conversations, phone calls, and that's where they're getting the evidence to bring forth these charges. Actually, where is Brittany Parks? Let's see. She has Sean Hoover, who just represented Ty Taylor in the cash out trial. I forget who he represented. Was he Antonio Sumlin? He represented a YSL defendant. Who hasn't at this point, really? And then if we go over to Tenquarious Mender, currently listed is the Kayla Bumpus and Villard Bastion. Now let's look at this chunky long indictment. Chunky long indictment. I don't think that was Mender, that guy Nick that tried to do the pill. Was it? I don't think it was. I think it was somebody else. Lady Loves Life says YSL Netflix series saga can be 10 seasons effortlessly. I think you're onto something. Kyber Mecton says I can fix you, Nicole. Whew. William showing some love there for Drew. And Brittany, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. All of these, these indictments sound crazy. These are serious charges. These are serious charges. But not for nothing. And I think I gotta mute this in case it let me mute my screen. But she is great with acquittals for felony murder, felony murder, felony murder. There's also gang charges in this one, I think. Just straight acquittals. She has a bunch of them. Another one. Yep, street gang and terrorism. There's like a million street gang and terrorism counts on this case. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. So, these indictments out of Fulton County can look real scary, and then a jury is like, but as of right now, we have the accusations, and we have innocent until proven guilty, and we can only look at what they're charging. So we'll have to, opinions are welcome. So let's see. We got the jurors, the grand jury. So for count one, Tenquarious Mender. So only Tenquarious Mender for violation of the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act 16-15-4A for the said accused in the county of Fulton and state of Georgia. So this is going back to the 17th day of April 2023. So apparently that procurement of the weed right before 420. I think this date's going to be important. I'm going to keep calling it right before 420. So somehow they're classifying this as violation of the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. They said that he unlawfully, while associated with a criminal street gang, to wit, Young Slime Life. So here we go. And I have some concerns about this. I hope this isn't a dirty play while we have attorneys that are fighting for wrongful convictions and revisiting sentences and revocations in relation to YSL and beyond, that, hey, if we bring up some activity, if those attorneys go and try to fight for their clients to be more available, we'll take them out of solitary confinement, protective custody, so that way they can meet with their attorney more easily. All of a sudden, we drop something like this. I don't know that there's a connection, but I wouldn't put it past anybody. Anyway, they say he participated in criminal street gang activity through the commission of at least one offense enumerated in paragraph 1 of Code Section 16-15-3, and as alleged in counts 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, and 11 to wit: trafficking in methamphetamine, possession of a Schedule II controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and unauthorized possession of prohibited items by inmate, contrary to the laws of said state, the good order, peace, and dignity thereof. As we read these, I'm going to skip like this fluffy last line there that repeats. So, Nicole, Paige Fegan, Paige is real tiny here, that's weird, and Brittany Parks. They're charged with unlawful for person to cause / encourage / solicit / recruit / coerce another to become criminal street gang. Is that how to word that? Just to become criminal street gang? That's weird wording. For the said accused, so this is Fulton County, again, right before that 420 date, 17th of April, 2023. They did unlawfully cause Tenquarious Mender, a YSL gang member, to participate in at least one of the following criminal gang activities as alleged in counts 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, and 11 to wit. And the same thing: trafficking in methamphetamine, controlled 2 substance with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and unauthorized possession of prohibited items by inmate by procuring for Tenquarious Mender, an inmate of Fulton County Jail, a place of incarceration, illegal drugs to wit: meth, oxycodone, and marijuana. Count 3, we've got all 3, trafficking in methamphetamine. Again, 17th of April 2023. Did unlawfully and knowingly possess 28 grams or more, but less than 200 grams of a mixture containing methamphetamine, as described in Schedule 2 of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. 4. Nicole Fegan, Tenquarious Mender. And I don't know why, but the page is little every time. Yeah, all 3 so far, the page has been smaller. Who knows? They must have copied and pasted her name every time after writing it once. Tenquarious Mender and Brittany Parks with the offense of possession of a Schedule 2 controlled substance with intent to distribute, again on 17th day of April. So that's going down to the oxycodone. Count 5, all 3. 17th of April 2023. Possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce. Let's see. Count 6, we've got Nicole and Brittany with the offense of obtain, procure, give inmate prohibited item without authorization. 17th day of April 2023. And again, they're giving it to Tenquarious Mender, an inmate at the Fulton County Jail. Methamphetamine. Without authorization. If they'd gotten authorization, it would have been fine. Count 7 of 20. Well, I don't know why I'm reading that. It's been a long day, you guys. Nicole Fegan, Brittany Parks, with the offense of obtain, procure, give inmate prohibited item without authorization, 17th of April 2023, and this is oxycodone. Count 8, same thing, but this is for marijuana. Count 9 is Tenquarious Mender, unauthorized possession of the methamphetamine, 17th of 2023. So this is all one day, one transaction. Tenquarious Mender, count 10, unauthorized possession of oxycodone, 17th of April 2023. Count 11, Tenquarious Mender, unauthorized possession of marijuana, 17th day of April 2023. Count 12, Tenquarious Mender, possession of a Schedule 2 controlled substance. There needs to be a space here, with intent to distribute. And this is the 15th day. Interesting. So now we're moving to the 15th day of April 2023. And that's oxycodone. All right, so I guess we have 2 days. Tenquarious Mender, unauthorized possession of prohibited item by an inmate. Again, 15th day of April 2023. And that's oxycodone. Tenquarious Mender, does he have possession also for, he's got 1 authorized on the 17th, 2 on the 17th. So maybe they're doing 2 different days here. Interesting. Count 14, Tenquarious Mender, unauthorized possession, again on the 15th of April, of makeshift knives or shanks. Count 15, he has $740. Tenquarious Mender, 15th day of April, $740. Tenquarious Mender, 15th day of April, for having a telecommunication device, to wit, Apple AirPods. And then Nicole Fegan, little Paige, she's count 17. Obtain, procure, give inmate prohibited item without authorization on the 23rd day of July 2020. So I think this is going, 23rd day of July 2020. And between the 23rd day of July 2020 and the 15th day of April 2023, said exact date being unknown to the grand jurors, did unlawfully give Tenquarious Mender, an inmate in the Fulton County Jail, a state facility used for the purpose of incarcerating criminals and detainees, an item, to wit, Apple AirPods, without authorization from the person who's responsible for the overall management and operations of the facility or that person's designee. So, okay. We don't know. We don't know. Count 18. Tenquarious Mender, violation of the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. And now we're on the 24th day of March 2023, stating that he did, while an inmate of the Fulton County Jail, unlawfully solicit Brittany Parks to participate in criminal gang activity, to wit, procure/give inmate prohibited item without authorization, in that said defendant did instruct Brittany Parks to send Nicole Fegan $1,000 and then have Nicole Fegan bring him $1,000 in cash, contrary to the laws of said state, the good order, peace, and dignity thereof. Count 19. Nicole Fegan, conspiracy to obtain, procure, give inmate prohibited item without authorization. This is the 27th day of March 2023. For unlawfully conspiring to give Tenquarious Mender United States currency, so money, without authorization from the person responsible from the jail. And Brittany Parks did an overt act to affect the object of the conspiracy, to wit, did CashApp Nicole Fegan $1,000, to which Nicole Fegan responded, got it. Count 20. Nicole Fegan and Brittany Parks, they've got conspiracy to obtain, procure, give inmate prohibited item without authorization on the 10th day of March for conspiring United States currency, so money. Nicole Fegan did an overt act to affect the object of the conspiracy by messaging Brittany Parks. Mender said he needs $150 if you can cash app it to me, ? Fegan law. To which Brittany Parks responded, okay, and sent the money. And then count 21, Nicole Fegan. This is the 24th day of March 2023. Violation of the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. So they're saying she's violating. Let's see, what did she do? Did unlawfully solicit Nathaniel Benford, a fugitive in a gang murder case, to commit criminal gang activity through the commission of the offense of tampering with evidence as alleged in count 22. This was 2023. And then this is what she was, these I think were initially related to what she was arrested for in February of last year. This stuff with Nathaniel Benford. So, and then count 22, Nicole Fegan, criminal solicitation, 23rd of March 2023, again, did unlawfully solicit Nathaniel Benford, a 4PF gang member that was a fugitive in a 4PF gang murder case, to get rid of his phone with the intent to obstruct the prosecution of Quincy Pinky. Now, I'm just going to say, just even if you think there's attorney-client privilege, I would say somebody at Fulton County and really anywhere could always be listening. And just because they might not be able to use that type of recording against you, let's say the recording gets thrown out, it doesn't mean that they're not going to use that as a lead without admitting that they use it as a lead to go and investigate you further and find some other way to incriminate you. So these contraband phones, screw attorney-client privilege, right? They're not going to care while they're listening in, and they'll find a way around that privilege. And in this case, we saw that Drew Finling filed a motion trying to get a phone recording excluded, and judge said no. So with that being said, of course, she, innocent until proven guilty, but man, we heard how much people like Marissa Viverito love to sit and listen to these recorded phone calls from either contraband phone, some type of wiretap phone that somebody has, jail calls that are recorded, whatever the mechanism. You've got Sprinkle, you've got Viveritos, you've got people that sit there and listen to every word, especially if you are someone that they have eyes on anyway. So do you think someone said to be affiliated with 4PF might be someone they're listening to any phone call they possibly can to find anything? Someone affiliated or said to be affiliated with YSL, because I don't know, is Tenquarious Mender YSL? Is he Goodfella? I don't know. So that's what we've got, you guys. Ah, good to see some familiar faces in the building. Let's see what you guys are saying. Curious Lay is tuning in late from the UK. Um, let's see. Brittany says, "How is this office so bored?" And let's do like a little temperature check. This temperature check is not a, do you think they really have the goods to prove this? That's not what this question is. This question is on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 doesn't live up to the hype. 10 totally lives up to the hype. When you hear big, scary new indictment, gang activity, conspiracy, do you really think after going through this indictment and looking at the names and dates and the activity being alleged, the transactions being alleged, that this might be bigger than what it is? It might get worse the more we find out. Because I'm going to give it a lukewarm. I'm going to give it a lukewarm, like 4. 4. Maybe 3. Maybe 3. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I don't know the rules about needing money and bringing cash to a facility if they can prove that. But I don't think it's that nefarious for someone to tell their a lawyer, "Hey, I need money to get to another lawyer." Because it seems like there's different allegations of what was requested by Tenquarious Mender to pay Nicole Fegan, who is, the attorney of record for Tenquarious Mender, um, versus the amount of cash that they're alleging she actually brought in. So maybe some of that was just, "Hey, I need to pay my attorney. I owe her money. I owe them money. I'm behind on things and need money to get to her. So since I'm talking to you right now, can you handle that?" So, hey, Ghost, good to see you. And yeah, BluEyedHillBilly says, "Why would they need privilege convos? They have cameras and snitches." I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you gotta be. It sucks not to be able to trust that you can have a conversation with your attorney, but I don't know. We looked at some of those DA dispatch, the law corner sections, where it seems like, in my opinion, reading those, it kind of seems like instructions on how to barely color within the lines while pushing the limit of the lines. Absolutely right, Brittany. At this point in time, not with the Glanville at this point in time, she is presumed innocent. Mr. Big Play Bray says Fani's really on one today. She gave Love her marching orders to go after lawyers. Yeah, and isn't the first YSL attorney. We had Anastasios, Miles Farley's attorney, accused of smuggling in pills, right? But it was his prescription. So that was a time. That was a time. Derek, huge shout out to Derek on the super sticker love. Big thanks, Derek. So I don't know. Again, my advice is going to be you can't think that people aren't listening or will ignore what they're hearing if they're not supposed to be hearing something that you're saying. So ah so interesting. So she bonded out when she was first arrested. But yeah, William, I think this is a good point. New charges, new bond. Are they just trying to keep her in? Um, can you imagine? So we've casually been doing a YSL trial reunion. We've been rewinding on some of Love's moments. I'm trying to look at things with new eyes to see things I didn't see before. Tomorrow we're going to actually be looking at, and it's what I was doing when I saw this. I was patchworking together on December 15th, 2022 was the day that Brian Steele successfully argued, and Love and then Miss Rostenwasser, who no longer works with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, tried to argue and argue and argue and argue for the judge to reconsider his ruling on the suppression of a phone that was seized from Jeffrey Williams during a 2017 search that was unlawful, and thus whatever was obtained during it, Judge Glanville found was fruit of the poisonous tree. But somebody, shout out to the internet, got on the feed naked with their junk out and was like holding it on the Zoom. So the feed that 11 Alive and Fox 5 initially had up, those videos are no longer on YouTube. They just have like these short clips, and then the audio was in and out all day. And then I actually saw that lead attorney, shout out to lead attorney and AV, they did a panel that day. And I don't want to get them in trouble, but I think they have the moment still on their footage. But I've been piecing together with all of these sound issues from 3 different channels to put together about an hour of stuff from the hearing. And I really think that exclusion is why a week and a half later, we have plea deals coming down for Tick, for Munktunk, and more. And they're all leaning into these factual acknowledgments about, well, they went to Jeffrey Williams. That there was something going on with the McDonald's after the Donovan Thomas murder. And I think the state was going to rely on something that they wanted to be able to use that was suppressed because of that December 15th, 2022 hearing and ruling from Judge Glanville. Then now they said, okay, we're going to suddenly give these guys bond, and we're going to get them to be the evidence we need to tie Jeffrey Williams to the high-profile murder at the center of this case. So we've been rewatching that stuff. But what's crazy about this is, we've got Caleb Bumpus named, we've got Drew Findling, who's a new player, but a lot of people mentioned him during the YSL trial. And obviously Nicole Fegan herself was a YSL attorney. If we get Ashley Merchant in there, it's going to be a like reunion within a reunion of all these attorneys. So just crazy. Yes, FFS. You forgot about the birthday suit. I was like, where is this hearing? Why is it gone off the internet? Lo and behold, it was that day. And Brian Steele was just sitting there staring. It was on the screen in front of Brian Steele, and he's just stone-faced like... And I'm not even going to lie, rewatching it, lead attorney is like, what is going on the screen? Oh, it must be a video or something. And he thought it was just like a music video because it's kind of small on the screen. But I'm pretty sure that's the part. And I don't think either he or AV noticed that that's what was happening in the moment. So that was a whole time. Yeah, that guy, Nick, I don't think they didn't say in court that as far as I remember that, hey, somebody is naked on the Zoom screen. But later they come back on and Glanville's like to his staff, hey, private Zoom court link, don't let anybody else join that isn't court staff or an attorney on this case. So you could tell that they're trying to clean it up and prevent it after it actually happens, but the news outlets all pulled the feed down. So yeah, that was a time. That was a time. But yeah, there is some coverage still. I know AV just did an update. AV to the 7th Power just did an update on with Jeffrey Williams' request, Young Thug's request to modify his sentence or terms of probation. And don't forget, you guys, Happily Angry Lawyer. And I don't know. I can only speculate. This is just my own pure speculation. But I do wonder if some of the motion and the district attorney's office and Fulton County sheriffs, because Pat Labatt and Fani are brother and sister. They say they're like this. I feel like there could be some communication. They're well aware that these attorneys are starting to go and pick through some of these old cases, not just Munktunk, but also Quintavis Greer, Greg King. There's all these different cases that all of a sudden has new microscopes with attorneys that can go in and fight the fight to do something about something that was done wrongfully in the past, that the Fulton County Attorney's Office just thought was water under the bridge. It's done. We did what we needed to do by any means necessary. We got these convictions. Who's going to know? My speculation is they don't want these individuals to be able to meet with their attorneys easily. They don't want them to be able to work on their case and, get back out and fight, a sentence that might not be valid. So what's a great way to prevent that? Say they're still doing gang activity, keep them in protective custody, and then bring new charges against them. So, and that guy, Nick, that was pre-trial? If that's what you're asking when that was pre-trial. So that would have been December 15th, 2022. So. Keisha E, good to see you. Keisha says, I'm not saying it's something, but it may be something. One of the first things Whitaker mentioned when she took over was the clients with those, quote, ear thingies. Her words, no more. Yeah, so I mean, and I think the judge was Eric Dunaway. Eric Dunaway is listed as the judge here. So not that familiar. I obviously know the name, but barely familiar. But, don't play with the judge's pet peeves. Whether it should mean anything or not, you don't want to poke the bear. So, Chad Diggy, good to see you. Chad Diggy said, what is going on? Let me get slime again. I'm missing out on these indictments. Thanks for becoming a member. So there's that. I think Flush of the Gods, who's in the building, I think he's going live in like 5 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes is enough to be a gang in time. Let's see. And he will actually be talking about the CashApp trial, which that was actually a RICO conviction. All 3 defendants were found guilty of RICO and found guilty of other charges, some serious charges with serious time. Very interesting closing remarks from the defendants, especially CashApp himself, that I'm sure Keratin Matthews wasn't on board with, but let me not speak for others. But here's the link to Flesh of the Gods. He's going live soon. He'll be looking at that Fulton County RICO, where Love wasn't the lead attorney, but she did work the case. And they did get a victory there. Yeah, Tori, that was a RICO. Tori Williams, you're absolutely right. They looked at financials. They had some type of conspiracy. I only got to follow some of the details from the news coverage, but it seemed like a damning detail was communications between CashApp and his mom to go and pick someone up so she couldn't talk, so she couldn't go and tattletale on them. And if the jury found that to be credible as presented, that kind of seems like gang activity, strong-arming someone to protect the enterprise. So, but yeah. JC says, what are we discussing? Somehow, some way, there's more YSL stuff. That's how we're here. But yeah, there is a million things going on at once. I've got to still catch up on stuff going on in Massachusetts with Prosecutor Lally from the Karen Reed trial taking the stand in another case and having to talk about how he didn't follow up on 6 or so search warrants that Officer Michael Proctor took out, only turned over discovery related to one of them or something like that. So you guys know I always love the idea of a prosecutor having to answer under oath. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, but who's in charge of having the opportunity to leak calls? So good to see you, YP Kamshik. Hey all, I wish one prisoner would make a call while in jail. saying to whomever that they got a secret deal with someone in the Fulton County DA's office and just watch the D office start crumbling, LOL. But who's going to find that recording? Who's going to whistle blow? And who's going to do anything about it? So, unfortunately, none of us have the power to make that transparent. Chad Diggy, thanks for the reminder. Hit that like button, you guys. I'll set up a redirect here. That way we can get over to discard changes. I hope I didn't like destroy all the links I have in the description. I do that sometimes with my YouTube descriptions. Set up a redirect, that way you don't need to find your way over to Flesh of the Gods, who's going to be talking about a successful RICO in Fulton County. Looking at Carrington Matthews' closing arguments. Carrington Matthews represented the rapper Cash Out and talking about the sentencing. So that redirect is set up. Candace says that was a real Rico, not a little Mike or Quez. That ill kid Jay, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. He was given a deal opportunity. If this is about Cash Out, I believe he was offered 25 years, and now he's doing life and then some. So, yep, Cash Out's mom's got 30. And the problem for Cash Out, there isn't really a parole opportunity, I don't think, because of the rape charge. He was convicted of rape. So I think parole is off the table under the way Georgia does it. So that's life, unless he has a successful appeal. And Miller says they really hating on attorney Fegan. They can't beat her, so they charge her. And, I was looking at this since last February until obviously we have this news now. But in between, I was like, what's happening with that? What happened with that? Are they even doing anything with that? And it's like they were just waiting and kicking the can further and further down the road, just letting it hover sitting there. So, I don't know. It's like they opened one can of worms as a way to look at things more broadly. And we'll just have to see. But you guys, this will be cool. We'll have some more to hear from Drew Findling. Is it Findling or Findling? I pronounce names wrong all the time. HappilyAngryLawyer updated his bio on Twitter because I pronounced his name wrong. I don't know who I heard mispronounce it, but I thought they were pronouncing it right. I said it the same way. But it's Robichaud. I was pronouncing the D at the end, and that's not the way to say it. So I never say things correctly. But yeah, so there we go, you guys. Nick vs. Turtle Boy Lego. That's today? They usually do those on weekends. Okay, so a few days ago I mentioned a Lego stream with Nick Starro, MLS Law. Valhalla Awaits is usually there. And the guest is Turtle Boy. Maybe it's a weekday because Turtle Boy has a jam-packed schedule. So let me drop that link too. The theme of it is it's 4 panels of people doing Lego builds, and they all talk about like law, life, wisdom, cases, all of that stuff. It's a real casual hangout. I think it's really enjoyable. Totally forgot that was on a Monday instead of a weekend. So thank you for the reminder. Turtle Boy Lego is a great title. So there's that in the chat. If you want to find it, MLS Law has it on their channel if you're listening and want to look it up later. Exactly, JC. It's a all encompassing all of the fun things. We love turtles and we love Legos. Let's see. Where is... Okay, so I don't know what you mean by Chadigi deserves that, but I'm just going to agree blindly. So with that, you guys, we're going to end because I think Flesh of the Gods is firing up already. He just started his stream. Oh, Thank you. So let's read this from, is it DITY? Like do it, is it something truck? Like do it yourself, or is it DITY to stand for something else? Or is it Diddy Truck? I don't want to say Diddy Truck because of that name. So we'll say DITY truck. Thank you for the 20. Let's bring light to the State versus Roderick Teasley case in Fulton County. Teasley was found guilty of murder with no ballistics, no fingerprints, and an iffy witness at best. The state lost the weapons, so they say. And if they lost the weapons in that case, that's not the first time where that's an issue. So guys, I talked about that case a little bit over on Twitter or X, and I know not everybody's over there. But if you've heard me mention on stream that I took issue with the state's closing argument. I tuned in late to that trial after Factual Lie pointed it out. Hey, Atkins is prosecuting another case in front of Judge Scott McAfee. And I go over there and they're going into closing arguments. They have this whole slideshow up and they're using like this cloak imagery and making it seem like the state only has one shot, as if to appeal to the jury. If you don't get the crime off the street, for the sake of the safety of the community, we'll never clean up the streets. And I thought it was such an inappropriate closing argument presentation. Super, super, super inappropriate. And then also the way it was worded, implying that as we put on witnesses on the stand, the presumption of innocence goes away. That's not true. That's not how the presumption of innocence works. The jury gets to weigh the credibility and decide if it moves the needle for them. It's not just, we put up witnesses, therefore this person is guilty because we presented something. But that's how their closing presentation was worded. Really, really, really messy. So I didn't know these details. This is really interesting. And again, this isn't the first case. Again, HappilyAngryLawyer has covered some other cases, don't have these big names like YSL, where we have quotes from Adrian Love in opening statements about the literal smoking gun. And then not only was the gun that they actually had a totally different caliber, couldn't have fired what they said they recovered from the scene, but they destroyed it before the defense could do any testing on their own or examine it. So this is great to raise awareness of. Thank you for bringing attention to State v. Roderick Teasley. That was a conviction, you guys. That was on Judge Scott McAfee's channel. So if you want to watch that, Judge Scott McAfee. Let me get his YouTube. I'm going to link to a judge on YouTube. I kind of love that. Go follow this judge on YouTube. Let's see. Judge Scott McAfee. And opening up YouTube, Potentially Criminal is also covering, or it looks like he's covering whatever went down with Lally earlier today that I have not fully watched yet. So let's see. He doesn't really do playlists. So let me find day one. Okay, there are 2 streams for day one. I'm going to link you to the first one if you want to start looking at the Teasley trial. Oh, Aaron, we were just talking about messy cases and messy indictments and weird definitions, twisted definitions of the presumption of innocence. So there you go, you guys. Big shout out again here for the reminder of another case. So if you guys missed it and you hadn't heard any of us talk about it in our smaller reunion chats, this is a great reminder and you can go check that out now. Fani's team is at it again. I don't think they ever stopped. Oh, Derek, is this? Derek says there's another case, guy charged with rape, no DNA evidence, and the cop is friends with the family. The guy got 20 years. Is this Fulton County? I just covered, and I didn't cover it because of the underlying case so much as the prosecutor conduct, but I just covered an instance where defendant, his name was Zachary Lally, no known affiliation to Adam Lally in the Karen Reed trial, but he was convicted of rape in his first trial. He appealed his defense attorney's alleged prosecutorial misconduct. You'd think, all right, everybody appeals and says that. Well, guess what? These defense attorneys actually had it recorded where the prosecutor was coaching the lead detective on how to explain why they didn't test any of the clothing for DNA. And so the judge finds that, yeah, basically, judge can't charge somebody with suborning perjury, but they can say, you coached. I do find that this happened. Convictions overturned. Retrial just happened. And last week, a jury acquitted the same individual on all counts. So, innocence or not, these prosecutors lost their win. They got their win at first, but lost it because of the way they behaved. And, as a secondary thought, if they weren't just talking about it out loud I guess it was happening in the courtroom, and there's camera feeds that the defense attorneys were in the break room for attorneys and they could hear what was going on and they overheard the conversation. So they started recording it. If that never actually happened, this never would have been caught. So what about any other case where something like that happens, where a prosecutor is willing to do anything or an investigator is willing to do anything just to win the conviction, and we never find out about it because nobody overhears it, finds a video of it, finds evidence of it? So just crazy. And again, Zachary Lally, no relation to Adam Lally that I know of. Les Red, good to see you. In bed, was just about to go to sleep. Yeah, sorry, YSL shenanigans can happen any time of day. Slat not Williams. Let's see. Thank you again for another 20. All eyes on the case is appreciated. I'm trying to get him back in court to get a fair trial. They also are trying to destroy the weapons that would exonerate him. Savannah Berry was the lead detective. Guys, so Savannah Berry, that's a new name to me. But bookmarking that, and I think chat will too, was the lead detective in the Teasley case, Fast Money Bonnie. So let us know, and you don't need to super chat it if you want to either write me on X or leave a comment on a video. If there's an appeal filed or even a motion to vacate verdict or set aside the verdict, I forget what it's called in Georgia. If you drop a comment, that way I see it, I can pull it up and we can look at it. Thank you for supporting the channel, but you don't have to. I'm happy to. If I know things and I can fit it in, I'm always happy to sit there reading about stuff. And Curious Coco, thank you for the love. Says just sending some love to Kat and the benevolent mods. Have a great night, slime. So right back at you. And we're going to get over to Flesh of the Gods. So let's see. Ooh, okay. Love this. Love when Aaron's in the chat. Aaron says if they intentionally destroy exculpatory evidence, consider a Youngblood claim on appeal. Precedent stems from Youngblood v. Arizona. Hard to win, so document everything. So, okay. So in Georgia, they typically start with a motion for a new trial. Look at this. Look at this. Aaron is amazing. Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you so much again for everyone who's mentioned other cases or other details in relation to whatever we're talking about, and for keeping eyes on, pressure on. One more thing. I think we had the 18th of August. We're in July. The 18th of August is the next date in the YSL civil forfeiture case. The 18th of August is also, if you guys have heard about the Mahendra Patel case, that's over in Cobb County, neighboring county, but Ashley Merchant is Mr. Patel's attorney. That's the case where the woman on the scooter in Walmart, I think her name was Caroline, accused this man of kidnapping her child, but he's like, no, the child was falling off the scooter. and her other kid was like on the floor of the scooter. And then on the same video, she almost runs over her other kid. So that's also on August 18th. So those are two cases, same date, August 18th. So there you go, you guys. Chad Diggy has just linked to Flesh of the Gods if you want to click it to get over there, but this will redirect you and I'll see you over there. Bye, guys.